All right, we're good.
Okay.
Okay, so what do you want to do? You want to do? Are we doing like a? So we're not doing profit taker. You want to do like a conjunction survival?
Yeah, that'd be good. Yes.
Casey, have you messed around with the Riot 848, the reload mechanic?
Not too much. It's the secondary, right? No.
Yeah, the secondary. It's temples. It's got surprisingly spicy damage on like not an interesting build with like you can get a couple million out of it out of the reload.
Huh.
And it's just like a basic build.
That's blast on it.
Yeah.
If something has blast, it gets me interested. Don't really have a build on it. I will format this. I'll take it. Take it in.
And the Bass Assist has what it has like unlimited punch through on enemies, like body punch through. I never even
I think
tested
it's
it.
also multi-CO, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Insane.
That's part of the meme, right? It's got to have multiplicative CO to be good. Oh, I guess I can change that off. All right, so where do you guys want to go and who's going to host? Because I'm on a laptop.
I'll host. I have really good internet. What if I'm thinking if I live stream this, I could call the stream reading your comments while using melee influence. Maybe I'll just title the video that. Featuring Gamble and Casey, and something like that.
Okay.
Okay, so yeah, I'm actually gonna bring up one of the things we should talk about right off the rip, which is let's actually read the most liked comment on the video.
Okay.
Okay.
Most liked. Is it longer than 5 words?
It is very long
Oh, God.
because all the comments are very long because apparently I'm wrong. Okay. Here we go. You're still not in here. I'm pulling teeth here, Gamble.
What?
You're not in my
Oh,
party.
jeez, I didn't
I
get the
can't
thing.
launch. Okay. No. Oh, like the notification. Okay. All right. So during my video, I talked about the past a lot and how the game used to function when it came to team synergy and ability interactions in the game, with the frames, etc., with the enemies. And the number one most liked comment outside of Shiro's hilarious reveal that he didn't know heat resistance mod was in the game was
That was a meme.
yeah, I know. Was the this is by a comment by the name of Owski TV. So wait, let me make sure. Okay, sorry. I wanted to make sure that the party was private. Okay, so and I'll relaunch the mission. It
It's
sounds to me
Oroka?
like you're viewing the it's yeah, it's Omni. So you can use whatever. It's
I
on
don't
Lua.
know. What's the faction? Corpus?
Orkin.
Orkin.
Broken? Ooh, we get to do faction memes. I'll run influence as well for meme damage.
We're all going to be chasing each other's kills. Who can kill the most enemies around walls and in rooms that we're not even in the fastest, the most.
Oh god, it
Let me
sounds
swap
wonderful.
to Sevagoth. No.
Yeah.
I like how what's really perfect is your profile picture is Revenant Gamble. You used to run that Frost in a snow globe. What happened?
I got made fun of for it. Like, how old are you?
Oh,
Because
come on, dude.
Because I had that before I changed over to the what was it, the fancier one? I had the Frost and the Snow Globe for years. They're like, we're gonna change that to something new, and I'm like, and they started making fun of how I was a Revenant main, and I'm like, don't you dare say that, like, because there are a couple of people in the clan that joke constantly about how I'm like the meta lord. They do it to try to get under my skin. So they were like, "Oh, he's got to be a Revenant main with his Torrid primary. We see you running around all the time," and they're like my least used. So Revenant main.
All right, so
Yeah. Okay. So
let's see if I
comments.
can. Uh, let's see if I can like pin this thing to the screen without. It's gonna be hard to read and play, at least a frame like Atlas. But all right, so originally one of the main points I made in my video was the old times, basically saying, hey, when I used to play, we actually relied on our teammates. Now, every frame in the game can be built in a certain way that lets you do every role, every job that you would ever need in a mission. Damage, support, DC, specific healing, etc. Right? You can build any frame in a context that lets you take over every role and not rely on anybody on your team at all. And yes, this is like a PvE game. I don't think it's a good idea to have this many options in the game and not need to have the ability or require the ability or incentivize the ability, I should say, to use them in a synergized manner, right? Like, why do we have all these options if none of them like are needed to work together to like take over difficult content? So that was where I was kind of coming from when I mentioned the old times, because before that's really what it took, right? You needed Trinity, you needed Frost, you needed Nova, but you can really do everything yourself now with all the tools that we have, which necessarily isn't a bad thing in terms of a bringing the game forward sort of mentality, but also the game has too many options for one person to take advantage of, and you create a cycle of they're too reliant on what they're normally using, right? The one size fit all build. And you've kind of created a quote unquote generation of players who are just absolutely gobsmacked when they get into a situation where they can't use their shit and they have to change it. And then you get like these comments that complain about that. So they've been conditioned to be able to be self-reliant, basically. So the comment reads this. It sounds to me like you're viewing the past of Warframe through rose-tinted glasses and wanting to return to the glory you think the past was like. I've been around a long time as well. I recall those missions you long for. I am reluctant to want to return to such a thing. There's a reason things like the old school raids died. So that was like his little paragraph. He actually did indents, which is kind of like really old school. So I can tell that this guy is probably my age. A lot of us are casual players, and so a lot of us gravitate towards easily optimal builds that require less team synergy, simply for the fact that we don't have to hunt for other players with specific builds / know-how to just do one mission with an optimal team. To turn this game into a quote If you don't got X Warframe with Y build, then we won't invite you. There's a downside to having a combat and mission/enemy mechanics being too caught up in needing the optimal build strategy that just robs players from enjoying the game. Look to damage gaining enemies, enemies with armor you cannot skip, status effect immune enemies, overguard enemies, and immune to CC ability enemies. So that's about a third of the way through what he typed. What do we think about that?
Dude,
If you want to go first, Gamble, go ahead.
I see where both of you are coming from. Warframe was never hard. Okay, I've said it before. I'll say it again. Like anything that's been like air quote difficult has been like a trick. Like we were talking about this yesterday. As soon as you
Right.
get whatever the trick is for what they're trying to get you to do, it's not difficult anymore. It goes back to being easy. Right? Like when we were talking about like the new the Entrati lab area. Everybody who had like viral slash builds took a bit of a bath when Overguard came out, and against the Entrati, I don't know, constructs or whatever you call them, because they're not weak to viral, right? You're just getting the viral bonus. So like if you strip their armor, they're not weak to viral. Like you even have one that's weak to blast and gas. So if everybody's used to seeing their damage as it is, they're not going to have a good time if they're expecting specific types of damage. So Warframe relies more on tricks, and I do kind of agree with both of you. The fact is that Warframe was never hard. It's all been trick based, and I do kind of agree with raids because from what I understand, because I was never here for raids, but I've heard from multiple people that by the end it was starting to get very gatekeepy.
Yes, I agree.
So
I played
Like
raids a
when
lot. I was always the
yeah,
support. So from my perspective, I remember how fun it felt to be needed, right? And that's where I derived a lot of my enjoyment from. It's like, hey, I'm actively taking a part in our success. And without me, we wouldn't reach that success. And I feel
yes,
like that's important, especially when you're doing like, right? Like you go into school, what do they teach you? Team building exercises. They teach you how to play and cooperate with other people because it's an important development as any like kid, young adult, etc. And I know we're talking about a video game here, but like the subject matter remains the same, right? It's important for like the community to be able to work together to overcome an objective. And I think it's a bad design to like not have any content that relies on anybody anymore. I can go into Archimedia, right? For the longest time, I'll go in there with Haro, make everyone invincible,
yep.
and I'll use dual toxins and literally melt the face off of that boss without even trying. I don't need anybody. I just go into public lobbies because I know I see a lot of MR12s who are running Revenant and they have a primary weapon that literally isn't going to help them for that fight at all.
Yeah, but my counter to that, or like the exact opposite of that, is say if you wanted to do support, would you want to be dependent on that MR12?
No.
that's yeah. So yeah, when I was doing trials, there was always a lot of back then mastery rank gating. It was always like join Jorda's verdict, but you have to be mastery rank 20 or above or whatever. And that was sort of a way of establishing that people knew the mechanics so you wouldn't be set back or fail the raid and like waste your time. What I feel like sort of changed from there onwards is that what raids did for me is it gave me it basically meant that I was always playing with the 8 same people throughout the week, where there was this like it basically became like a little clan of people that you knew. So there was this within the game, you had this community building aspect because you needed each other to get the loot and do some stuff. And it's the same in a lot of other games that I've played, MMORPGs ever since. Is like I played Elder Scrolls Online, I tried Destiny for a bit, and I have heard that it's the same there, that you get this clan/community building thing because of those trials or raids or more difficult missions. But like Well Played Ninjas was just saying, is that with the Archimedia, I just queue a random match, and then with this new system being added in, where you get immediately disbanded after you complete the mission, there's like no sense of community within the game anymore. It
Yeah,
feels
it
like everybody
destroyed it.
is playing together, but not really.
Yeah, you're just playing adjacent to somebody else. You're not actually playing with them.
Yeah. And
Yep.
I felt like back in the day, there used to be more of a feeling of, oh, I'm playing with these people and they need me because of this, or they want me on Nova or such and such. And the downside I do understand from especially the commenter, what he's saying, and what I've seen in the comments on your video as well, is that a lot of people um, voice this opinion of, I don't want to have to look for people whenever I want to play a mission for like an hour or whatever.
Yeah.
And I do understand that. And I also see that it's a growing problem because we have now, 60 different Warframes? Like, if all of them had their specific niche, it would mean that people would need all of them to like play all of the different missions in the game. And that's a problem. But on the other hand, there has to be some better diversity in stuff not feeling the same and the playing adjacent to each other. I don't know. There's so many interesting synergies between frames. And here we are, I'm playing Temple, I'm in one part of the map doing my thing. We have Nezha, Gamble's Nezha, another part of the map. We're all basically running around with melee influence. We're doing our own thing, even though we're in the same mission. And it doesn't feel like I'm playing with you guys. I'm playing alongside.
Well, do you want to dogpile into one room? We can go back to the circle room.
We could do.
Because I was running melee
That's
influence.
where I am.
I installed
Yeah.
melee influence just for the meme, because that's what we're going to talk about.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, and that's what I'm using as well, right?
But we might
We're
have
in
gone a
here-
little bit off topic, so maybe
No, there's
get
no
to the
topics.
comment
It's a pod.
section.
If it's anything, it's just it needs to be free flowing. Don't worry about it.
So let's read the rest of the video or the comment. Okay. Whilst I do appreciate you actually provide a solution, unlike some channels that simply talk about something needing a nerf and no solution, I do think what you're asking for is, whilst in concept a great idea, something I'd have trouble seeing DE implementing anytime soon. Yeah, that's totally fair. If at all. An entire start chart with new enemies, new AI, new mechanics, new rewards, new game modes is a very big project to tackle. One that, if DE did, I'd imagine would take years to develop, fine-tune, and ensure it meets satisfaction of what's, quote, truthfully, a niche part of the community. All the while, they'd still have to be working on upcoming general content for the rest of the community. It just doesn't seem feasible. You made a remark at 8:02, which is like a timestamp in the video. You claim to know what Warframe wants, but this video of yours is subjective. It's your opinion and not objective. I'd argue that you can make Warframe into a game of engaging combat and strategy. I know I have, as he put in parentheses. Heck, a lot of these OP builds and synergies were brainstormed and thought up by other players simply experimenting on what things not only feel good but is effective. He should say but are effective. Even if your solution one day did come to fruition, players or people will always find the most optimal way to get through the content, and I can bet some mad lad will find some equally OP strat, even if your solution one day line break strat to breeze through the hard content you're so desperately asking for, which others will copy and follow. It's just how people are. I'll just wrap it up here. I've played this game for around 12 years, and I've seen metas come and go, even back then. I found more enjoyment simply playing the game how I chose to play. If there's meta/OP builds, then I frankly don't enjoy, I just don't play it. I don't let others choose how I should play or impact my enjoyment of the game. I still found challenges within the game simply because I dare to try new things, new builds, and on occasion I am treated to hard content like the hidden/unique version of the 1999 tank boss. We'll get into that. Which forced me to have to strategize and modify builds to overcome the challenge. What you're asking for is still in the game. Elite, Archimedia, secret hard mode bosses, etc. I just think you fail to realize that. You're too caught up in what or how other people play versus simply taking a step back and enjoying your own experience.
Dude, I don't know where that phrase came from, and I've been starting to hate it. Oh, people will like the whole where it's like people will optimize the fun out of the game, or they'll always do like the most effective thing. Let's be honest. When's the last time you've sat down and been like, "Oh, what's the meta pick?" What, like when you're doing a mission? Like we all understand the game enough. When's the last time you sat down and went like, "Oh, I need the meta pick right now. I'm running a bunch of bullshit on this frame right now. Literally just stuff that I wanted to talk about." Like like I'm using the riot because it's actually kind of a fun weapon. It's not meta. It's not going to be meta, but it's got an interesting mechanic. When's the last time you sat down and went, "What's the meta pick?" All of us have made our own builds. Like all three of us have made our own builds. When's the last time one of us gave a shit about what's meta? Right? Like nobody thinks about
that's
it.
a good point. And even with the whole when the turret was meta and all of that, I didn't even use the turret that much.
I didn't
I
either.
think the difference is that we are at this point in the game where we know in depth how to build for stuff. We know what is good. We know how to make things work. I mean, you even slapped on. You were asking, "Oh, what kind of faction are we facing?" Right, and then you probably slapped on the correct faction damage mod.
Yeah.
Right.
There's a lot of these new players that don't necessarily know all of this stuff, so they go to YouTube, they look for what's meta, and then they use it. And I think the reason why we don't use the metas because it also bores us. We know it's the most effective thing, but yet we want to try out something that might be a little bit less effective, but is fun to build. And this sort of gets to your idea that Warframe is now become a sandbox gamble. I've
Okay.
heard you mention that multiple
Yeah.
times, and I completely agree with that because you can now do anything in the game that you want. You can do fun things and you can do weird builds, and pretty much all of it works. And that's a positive part. But a negative part is that even for newer players, everything works because everything is so strong. So they
Yeah.
don't have to necessarily understand everything in depth. And I think that's might be a problem.
That was one of the things that made us kind of. Ninja and I was talking yesterday, and Energy Monster was that there's never the point until you get to like Steel Path a little bit now. There's never a
Yeah.
point where, if you remember, like the prior version of Gas, right? Where, or the with prior armor, not prior version of Gas, but before they did the recent armor nerf,
Mm-hmm.
if you tried to do a Gas build, you were having a bad time against Grenier.
Yes.
There's no point anymore because they made it 90% max damage reduction. There's no point where the game's like, nah, dog. Yeah, you're going to have to change that shit up. Like, you can just burn through everything. There's no point where the game's like, hey, listen, what you're using isn't actually appropriate here. You need to change it. You can run Blast, which was kind of a meme for a couple of years. I mean, justifiably, but it was kind of a meme for a couple of years. So now it's one of the better elements. And Corrosive took a big dump because armor isn't relevant anymore. I mean, it is a little bit if you care about adding a 0 to your damage.
Yeah, that gets to the other part, is understanding how to build. Even the Mimi builds deal so much damage that you're out damaging enemies practically all of the time once you're in the end game. And I feel like the video from Well Played Ninjas, you started with the idea of like, oh well, influence is a big problem because it's slapped on everything, and then it sort of evolved in this idea of, which is something that's been plaguing the game since forever, I think, is that um I think I've heard you give this metaphor at some point, Gamble, where it's like Warframe is this highway you're on, and at some point you reach the end, but you want to keep on driving, but there's nothing left. So you're
Yeah.
sort of there in the void floating around and you don't know what to do. And I think the fix, or well, the not necessarily the fix, but the idea when I was talking with Well Played Ninjas the other day with the seasonal star chart thing that he also brings up in the video, is that we need a way to recycle old content and make it feel new. Because the moment where we are now is new things get added, and it's basically every time it's a content island. It's level a syndicate, do this, do that, some new missions, all new code of paint, and have fun. Goodbye. It's fun for like 2 weeks, and then you realize, oh, it's more of the same shit. Nothing's really changed. But the thing is that it costs DE a lot of time to continuously make those new things, because they have to make it fit in the lore. They have to make sure that it's new design, it looks different, it looks cool. And when we came to the idea of the seasonal thing, it's like, well, if they have this steel path modifier for every node in the game, it means that they have a couple of lines of code where it's like, okay, well, if steel path increase enemy armor, etc.,
Yeah,
by
yeah, yeah.
this amount of percent. So in my eyes, it's not that difficult to have another tier where you just adjust those modifiers a little bit higher or lower, or add something else in there like elemental resistance, I don't know. And then call that the new season, and then just reset all of the old nodes so you have to play through them again. Because do you really know every node in the game? Like, usually, if I'm honest, for me, I played every mission, or a lot of those missions, once. And if it's not a node on a planet that spawns a relic mission, I will never play it ever again. And I think it would save DE some time being able to refresh old game stuff that's already in there with something that feels different but is also easily updated or changed. And I know that in the comments of the video, someone was like, well, we have Nightwave, and Nightwave has missions, and that's sort of the battle pass system that they came up with, the seasonal thing. They more or less abandoned it, because at the moment, the only thing you have is some odd missions that you have to do. Maybe you need to take out some eidolons, but no one's
Yeah.
going to really do that. And usually these night waves last for so long that you just get them passively by playing the game. I don't
Yeah.
even look at what the night wave is anymore. I just play the game.
Yeah.
So I think either the night wave needs to rethink to make that more interesting, or maybe slap something on top of Steel Path. But yeah.
I completely agree, but also keep in mind we are on if you remember the dev stream,
Yes.
we are on the tier 2 steel path, by the way. Remember how they said they were going to have originally have a plus 70 and a plus 100 steel path? And they went, nah, we'll just do plus 100. We are on the second round, by the way.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree with what you're saying. Like, they need to just go like, okay, all enemy, like plus 200 levels, all enemies take 50% elemental damage, like 50% reduced elemental damage, and it's just like permanent. They could easily just roll it from like say Archon Hunt modifiers or like EDA modifiers, and they just start making those permanent additions into like your
Yes.
gameplay and those new things, but the rewards go up.
Yes, exactly. Because I like running EDA and ETA every week. I like seeing the rewards pop up. I even like sometimes failing it, because then I'm like, oh shit, I should pay some more attention, especially when
Yeah.
I'm playing solo, right? But the problem is that you do it once a week. It feels like a chore, more or less. And then there's no incentive to play it again afterwards. So there is hard content in the game, but there's no incentive to keep playing it. You play it once, it takes maybe 40 minutes, maybe an hour, and then you're done.
Yeah.
I would like, if it's in some way, shape, or form replayable, to at least offer some rewards, be it a bit of endo, some good credits, or whatever. Because I would play it again.
Go ahead. Sorry.
No, that was the point.
My solution, or like something that would incentivize me to kind of do those difficult missions, is, I mean, one of the things I brought up privately but not in the video. Well, I did mention it, right? Like accolades or something. You go into
Cosmetics.
your
Yeah.
cosmetics. You go into your profile, right? And 99% of players don't have any accolades on their account. So it's like kind of something that would be able to distinguish like what a good player is. And we have nothing in this game outside of like MR rank, which ironically doesn't actually tell you if you're a good player or not. Because
Yeah.
we have people who come in, they can get to legendary rank in a month. Or you have people who have been playing since the beginning of time and they're MR 16. You know what I mean? So there's nothing that really indicates who this player is and how good they are or what they know, etc. And I feel like if they actually started utilizing the accolade system, right? Because currently there are only a few things that in the game that would give you an accolade. If you were an alpha player, I think is one, a beta player, if you're a dev,
Yeah.
if you're a partner, if you bought the heirloom set, or if you're a
Yeah.
founder. That's it. But none of those things would indicate if I'm a good player. Yeah, I'm a partner, but you can be a partner for anything. I could be a streamer, I could make build videos, I could be an artist, right? Being an artist doesn't mean you're good at Warframe. It means you love the game, right? So that doesn't tell me anything. And I feel like if they had missions, like one of the ideas I had was we have all these nightmare missions that are really cool in concept, but they're locked to enemy level 40s. Like, come on, dude. Like, if they had brought some of those missions to Steel Path, like on a daily rotation, like the incursions are, that'd be something to kind of look forward to doing. It's like, okay, let's see what the modifier is. Okay, if I do all 12 today, then I get an accolade or some sort of like effect on my character. One of the things I really liked in D1 was the flame above your head when you did the nightfall, because back in D1 the nightfall was very very difficult, and it was a visual indicator that tells people in the tower or in your general mission, wow, that player put their nose to the axle and finished a mission that is very very difficult, right? And so it tells me like, hey, this player knows kind of like how to play the game. We don't have any sort of visual indication of that at all. The only visual indication in this game is fashion frame, which ironically or meme like, right, is the true end game, quote unquote, right? That's like the meme.
Yeah.
But if we actually had a visual indication that lets people know, like, hey, you know, this person has these accolades. I guess you have trophies or you can see their stat sheet, but I think it goes beyond that, and I think that it would be good and a kind of like a dopamine injection of feeling rewarded for taking on difficult content, which we've been so accustomed to rejecting. Anytime something's hard, it's immediately on the forums within a week saying why there's a problem with the difficulty XYZ, right? And I don't like that conditioning that DE has been honestly coddling to for a long time. That's my piece on it.
You know, this made me think about a couple of things, because there are these like whenever you have the events that pop up, the belly of the beast and the venom spear. Sorry, what was it?
Orphix Venom.
You guys
Or
will
yeah.
know the name. Scarlet Spear event, is that it?
Yeah, that
Yeah, that sounds
Scarlet
about right.
Spear, Orphix Venom.
Something like that. Yeah, there's a lot of different ones, and you usually get an emblem that you can put on your Warframe, like on your
Yeah,
arm.
like on the shoulder. Yeah.
yeah, that doesn't necessarily always show in the profile. I guess if you have it equipped. So it could be cool if those seasonal events or those timed events also had those accolades that you were mentioning that really easily show up in your Warframe profile. So you can be like, link your profile and look at my cool accolades collection.
Right. Right.
So they
You
could
go
put
into
it there.
general. You go into general, and the only thing people share is look what my frame looks like. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You could share your profile, be like looking for someone with similar stats, or looking for team who can help me get this accolade. You know what I mean? Like people, a lot of comments on this video said, I don't want to have to rely on other people. I don't want to have to go out of my way to look for a teammate. And I think that's really, really sad. Like you have no desire to meet interesting people or play with interesting people who are running interesting things. That's like a really, really sad. I was actually kind of depressed when I read that. I thought that was really depressing.
It's kind of what listen, the Warframe has been courting this type of audience for a while now, where Warframe is just not inconvenient. Like it's just not inconvenient. Like everything is easy.
Yeah.
Like there's never.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Like, oh, you don't have to ever think about looking for a group. You don't have to ever think about how hard something is. Oh, this boss fight's really difficult. People complained about 60 eyes, and they didn't even have to do it. And I don't think they nerfed 60 eyes, but like 30 eyes felt like it got really fucking easy for some reason. Like people are gonna complain, and what was the people said, like he was like crashing out about like slam attacks. But Pablo specifically replied to somebody on Twitter about how slam attacks are too strong. They will listen to the most random fucking person saying something that they're just waiting for somebody to say. But if you have half the community screaming over something or going like, hey, I'd really enjoy this, they're going to go, no, we're not going to do it. They're not even going to bring it up because it's not what they want to do. And they straight up said, like, Rebecca straight up said, like, they're there to make the game that they want to play, not the game that you want to play. And that's what she said on a dev stream. Okay, so let's all temper our
expectations.
Yeah, they want to.
Okay, fair enough.
They just so like, let's not get mad because we're hoping, we interpreted what they said. They're only responsible for what they said, not what we hear. And they are going for a cell phone game. They want a casual game where it's 10-minute missions. Okay.
I guess this has to. Yeah, this makes me link it to like the Tencent acquisition kind of stuff and
Yeah.
kind of shit.
It's
conspiratorial thinking, but
it's going toward a cell phone game.
Not.
Think about the recent frames. All of the abilities have been friendly for 2 points of access. If you're trying to move around, like one of the issues with Temple on a keyboard is you need 2 fingers to be able to move, right? WASD. If you're moving forward, you need to be able, and you want to be able to move sideways at an angle, you need 2 fingers. Well, how do you hit 3? Like on Dante, right? Not a big deal. But if you're on a cell phone, spamming
I love your comment
one
on Dante being a cell phone frame.
He's a cell phone frame. That? So's Jade. And Temple kind of is too, because if you're moving, think about it. If you're moving on a cell phone, your WAS and D is your finger. It's your thumb. So you can sit there and move in 360 degrees with your left thumb while spamming Temple's 1. You just can't change which way you're aiming. But you can still move in a circle. So it's not a big deal on a cell phone. How much you have to spam his 1 to be able to shield gate with it. Because Temple has a shield gating issue. It's not bad, but you have to spam 1, and it's an animation that interrupts you using your primary. Because every time you cast your 1, you're not firing. So, and it breaks you using your primary. You don't go back to using your primary or secondary, if that's what you were using, or you're probably using the 4. But it breaks you firing that because you're technically reloading the magazine every time you cast on the beat. So it's just, I get where they're never going to go back to something difficult. Not that there was anything difficult to begin with. And they straight up said,
it's also that's also hard, of course, if you want to make like super in-depth weird abilities where you have to press too many buttons at once. It's just not feasible anymore for the mobile version. So every time they now design something new, they have to think about, is it actually going to work on mobile platforms, which is in my eyes, first of all, very tough. So I guess respect, but also it limits your design choices by a lot.
Yeah, massively.
Which is
what's
a shame.
What's a frame that wouldn't release now? Like they'd never make because cell phone. Like what's a frame that's currently in the game that would be too difficult for cell phone? Technically, like
Most
they would
of
scrap
them.
it.
Well, I'm looking at possibly one Equinox. Quite a lot of ability switching, stepping, whatever.
Yeah.
Could be, but I'm not sure. Can we think of a good example?
Like, yeah, I mean, most frames are very, very easy to play.
Yeah, but they require being able to touch more than two things at once.
Sevagoth is got a lot going on too.
Yeah, but you switch to the forms. I think the main problem with like the button layout on mobile, and I'm not a developer in any way, shape, or form, but when you need like additional menus, let's say I've played Ghost of Tsushima on PS4, and it's one of the Sucker Punch games. And the way they had their ability layout there is you basically, I think it was like, you can press a bunch of buttons, and then if you press another button, you can press the same bunch of buttons, but now they do different things. And I think that gets difficult to do on a mobile phone, like the menu inside of a menu kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I don't think you have it in Warframe necessarily.
And except for maybe Equinox.
Yeah. So that was why I was thinking Equinox.
Yeah.
But then again, Equinox, you switch the day and night forms if you want to. But you would have to think like, okay, I'm now pressing 1, 2, 3, and 4. Let's say I press 4, but then I can press 1, 2, 3 again, and it does different things. I think that's when it gets difficult to port to mobile phones. But yeah, what I was actually also thinking about, going back a little bit, with things that might be underutilized at this point, and which could be interesting for veteran players, is we have leaderboards in this game. And I think 95% of people playing Warframe, maybe even more, don't even know they exist.
True.
They're still there, but they do nothing. Why not put a reward on it? They refresh every week. If you're top 10, I don't know, give some cosmetics, give some cool stuff. It would sort of like enable the veterans who have all of these weird efficient playstyles to actually use them, to actually have a reason to be efficient for something, for some kind of extra reward. Could be interesting. Just a thought.
Pablo has dabbled, like when you were mentioning 60 eyes, I completely kind of blanked on the fact that there is sort of a visual cue that says, hey, I defeated the 60 eye boss, right?
Yeah.
Because on your ship you can equip
The ship.
those hands,
Yeah.
right? So they've dabbled in that before. They've done it before.
And they
They
did it
really
with the
needed.
tank as well. And they are now
Yeah,
doing
exactly.
the glyphs. So they are going that direction, and I think they should definitely keep going there. Just the tank was a good step forward, honestly, because it's a relatively interesting fight. Like there's still ways to, of course, do the once you discover the tactic and it works and it becomes easy, but it's still we still had to think about the builds, and that's why I also, going back to the comment you were reading, I agree with him, or the commenter at least, that those new bosses, the hard mode bosses, do make you rethink your builds on a couple of frames, especially in terms of damage reduction that you want to slot. Because if you don't have a good way of surviving, there's no way you're gonna beat the fight. And
What,
it's
for like
the only
60
shame is,
eyes?
yeah, I guess the only shame is that the way they do those fights is by introducing these mechanics where you are stripped of all of your abilities, which feels kind of bad.
Yeah.
So maybe they can look into that. But that's the other thing I said just before going into the call is we have to be aware that probably most of these kind of things are already discussed within DE internally. They have probably already discussed melee influence and what they should do about it, and there might even be plans for it. We have no insight into what they are doing, so all of it is always speculation, and we also don't know what the roadmap looks like. Like they probably have some kind of roadmap. I would hope, at least. You never know, but I would hope they have something going out for at least the coming year. And you also don't know how some of the solutions that we now provide might fit into it. But to validate us discussing these kind of things as a player base, what can happen is they might see one little nugget of one of our ideas and they might be inspired, or they'd be like, oh well, this could be interesting down the line. So it could be another 1.5 years before you see it, but not having any kind of discussion means the game will plateau or whatever. Like what I appreciate about Warframe, especially when I started playing, was the transparency, more or less, that I saw compared to other type of games that I was playing at the time. Like I never watched a dev stream from from Blizzard to developing Call of Duty, even though a lot of stuff was changed in those games a lot of the time as well. Never really saw developer streams. That's now also changing, but Warframe and DE was one of those first companies that really dabbled a lot in the community aspect of the game, which is also, circling back, kind of a shame that the community building aspect is being lost, in my own opinion, as I stated before.
I
Let
don't
me
think
let
it
me
was
read on.
ever a priority. Like, let's be honest here. I don't know what the deal with your clan is, but what's the purpose of an alliance nowadays?
I don't know. I never engaged with my alliance, if I'm honest.
Exactly. It used to be solar rails. Like, there was a purpose for it. You know what I mean? Like, they've taken
Mm-hmm.
away some of the very minimalistic, because that used to be like the reason to have like an alliance is that you could share resources. There's still functionality for it. Um, like I can see it on my panel where it's like distribute uh, alliance vault funding, and it's where if you had a dark sector and you were collecting tax, that's where the taxes would go, and you can distribute it to clans, to each
Mm-hmm.
individual clan. But you had to have a solo rail. You know what I'm saying? Like they got rid of a
Yeah.
lot of the social stuff. And Warframe,
Yeah.
I agree that Warframe needs social stuff. Like I've been asking for an alliance dojo. Like they could literally charge me real money a month. Like it could be like $5 to $10 a month, and I would pay for an alliance dojo for everybody to go to. and give it like a super foundry or something like that, where you can like queue 5 items back to back. You
Get
know what I mean?
multiple forma per day.
Yeah, like where you can.
That would be awesome, honestly.
Yeah, just as like $5 to $10 to be able to unlock an Alliance Dojo, like it's a paid item. But you can go craft like another forma there or something, like just something, anything, because we have nothing.
Yeah.
So they've never cared about social aspects. You've got chat boxes, and there you go.
And you know that comment, they don't care about social aspects. The idea of auto disbanding reinforces that sentiment a lot.
It's crazy.
I hate that it's
I
default.
didn't touch on that. I know.
It is so disruptive because there will be times where I'm trying to talk to somebody where it's like, oh, hey, like, that was a pretty interesting build that you had there.
Yeah,
Like,
what build are you using? Yeah.
And the game just kicks you out.
Okay, this is a great example. I literally I was doing a tech rot lich. I went solo into the mission, and I got recognized by the entire lobby. I auto joined, randomly joined. They're like, "Hey man, love your comment." I'm actually gonna put it on the screen too. I took a screenshot of it. So they're like, and I even sent it to Zach, DE Zach. I said, "Hey, look, like people are loving the update, man. Like, good job on Temple. I think Temple's cool." So they said, "Big fan, yeah, same, right?" So I hit a heart, right? And I asked them, "How do you guys like the update?" And they're like, "Loving it. Same. Temple's amazing, for real, true, for real, right?" So we agreed, and we kept chatting. As soon as we extracted,
Gone.
I got disbanded from them. And guess what? They invited me, and I joined. And we continued. Yep. We literally farmed and I'm not kidding. We farmed the entire lich, all of our liches together, and then did the boss fight together. DE has removed that from the game.
Yeah.
Remove that. Of course, I am me, so I got recognized. But in the reality, right, if you have a social butterfly in the lobby who likes chatting, they're not going to have that ability to play with that group anymore if they really enjoyed their time with them. See, like, hey, do you guys want to keep farming together? They've removed that.
I guess completely. You can still. That's also what Pablo said in the dev stream, I think. Like, you can still go to your recent players, but then realistically, if you're not a well-known YouTuber, who's really gonna join you back?
Yeah, nobody's. That's what I'm saying. One of the funnest things that's still available as sort of like a social activity is running down a lich or like a tenant sister or a coda lich as a group. Like, you find somebody where it's like, oh, you've got a level 1 lich or something like that, and it's like, hey, you want to do these together, and you'll sit there and go start to finish with somebody else, and then you'll just sort of go on your way, and it's nice because you'll spend like 2-3 hours or whatever it takes for you to do it, to do your like Kuvalich or something like that. If the guy just isn't spawning because they're not pissed enough, right?
Ooh, finally.
Ooh.
Let's get the part for one of the most terrible Warframes. Wait, what? Aside from that, yeah, no, I was really upset, and thankfully, yeah, I literally had to, because I didn't notice it too, because the guy invited me, right? We didn't talk about me rejoining them, right? He invited me, and I clicked on it because I didn't notice it because I was opening my menu to check something out, and I saw the invite and it said cannot join, failed join session. I'm like, oh god, right? Like, I really wanted to play with those guys because it's like, hey, I got recognized, like, like they get to play with somebody they really enjoy content with. That would mean a lot to them. Like, why wouldn't I do that? I'm not doing anything. You know what I mean? I'm not above this. So thankfully, recent players was active, but that was the only way I could do it because DE decided to add a auto disband. And it's like, in my mind, I'm like, did the community actually complain that they had to physically or physically? I'm like, are you kidding me? I have never, and yeah, normally I would just auto leave, right? If I'm playing with a friend and we get 2 randoms, yeah, I would probably auto leave anyway for the most part. But I would never complain that I had to go out of my way to do it like it's some fucking chore. Give me a break, dude.
Yeah, the auto disband is a, pardon my language, but it's fucking ridiculous.
It is.
It's okay. Give us like a shortcut. If you want to like compromise, give us the ability to make a shortcut. Like I could do like the tilde key. You know what I'm saying? Like make it the tilde key. If
leave lobby, yeah.
Yeah, give us like a tilde key or something to where we can quickly leave. But don't make it the fucking default. What the hell are you doing?
Or make it opt in or opt out. Or
Yeah.
like opt out basically default, and then if you want to opt in, you opt in.
Yeah.
But I guess that becomes a little bit harder because then it could result in like host
Right,
migration,
just because you opt
and
in,
shit like that, because it's peer to peer, and then,
yeah, exactly.
Gets into a whole other problem of how Warframe connectivity works in 2025 without dedicated servers. But that's a whole different discussion.
Yeah, I'm just they're very intent on like making it so it. Oh, okay. We didn't kill him fast enough. Never mind.
I got him. Go ahead.
They're very intent on forcing specific things, because you remember when crossplay came out like that first week. If you opted out of cross-platform, you literally had nobody to play with. If you turn off cross-platform, nobody will. You can't connect to any lobbies because
you can't connect. You also can't trade with anybody either.
Yeah, because you'll only connect with people that have cross-platform, and they forced it to be enabled. Even though, let's be honest, if I connect to a Wii, right, or whatever, what's the other Nintendo one? I can tell
Switch.
Yeah.
That one. If I connect to a Switch, I'm having a bad time, and I got some ping. Like, it's not super bad, but I can tell when I'm not hooked to when I'm not connected to a host that's using a PC. It's gotten a lot better.
Especially with the spawn rates as well.
Yeah.
Which they did up, but still.
But it's still not as high as, like, a higher-end PC that can get, like, 200 FPS constantly. And that was one of the things that was so like alarming is like you would play on like you would play with a Switch player, and there'd be like 30 enemies spawning. You would have like 10 enemies on screen, and it's like you're like standing around going, "What the hell is this?" And it's because you're having to deal with the console players.
Well, there's always going to be cons.
Like, bro, this is a farming game. It needs to affect something other than farming. Like, they need to turn those 10 enemies, if they want to do, like, there's, like, an enemy spawn issue because of how much they can render, those 10 enemies need to be loot pinatas. I need to be getting the same amount of loot. This is a farming game.
I wonder if they, and I'm not a computer scientist, so I have no idea, so this might be complete nonsense, but I wonder if they could offload some of these mechanics. Let's say they would go for dedicated servers, if they could offload it on, like, I don't know, server CPUs to spawn in the enemies and shit like that. So people have the same spawn rates of enemies, so it's not bound to your performance as a peer-to-peer host anymore. Because that would solve the issue, but
they'll never do it. It's
too big of a rabbit hole.
It's not even that. Warframe wouldn't have survived if they had to pay for servers. Like, think about, like, when Warframe was, like, really having issues. When there was actually
way too little players, yeah.
Think about if they had to pay server costs on top of that.
There's no way. That's the thing. But maybe now with, like, the growth that the game has been seeing, maybe, possibly they could look into it, but it's kind of off topic. Do you have another comment that we could delve into?
Yeah.
A good one.
Yeah. Let me find it. Okay. This is really short. It's not well seen either. It has one reply. This guy said, I would quit playing if there was a seasonal star chart. I would quit playing the game over that.
Interesting.
It's kind of true though. Like if you wanted seasonal stuff, you'd go to play like Diablo or something.
Wait. The comment was from Owen Gonians. I want to give credit to the comment. Go ahead, Gamble. I want to give credit to it. Not calling them out. Like, don't like. I'm not sending a lynch mob. I'm just saying, like, this is who said it, and so you gotta give credit to him. But go ahead.
Nah, go get him. Find out where he lives.
Let him get it, guys.
Yeah.
No.
Take it to him, bros. The think about it. If you wanted to do seasonal content, you're probably playing PoE.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
well,
that's also sort of where the idea came from.
That's where the idea came from with me and Casey, right? We talked about it, and we came to the conclusion that while Diablo 4 has many problems, they've actively improved the game, and one of the best parts of it is that like sort of seasonal model where every time when you log in, right? I'm not saying DE needs to reinvent the wheel here. I'm not telling them they need to dedicate 100 man hours like per employee a week to figure out how to please me. That's not what I feel like a lot of people were getting kind of that like impression. It's like, hey, I'm the player base, guys. Like, make sure you satisfy my needs. No. As I stated before, we have missions in place like that. They're called nightmare missions, right? I don't like the fact that after years of their inception, they're still relegated to non-steel path. That doesn't make any sense to me. Every mission should be able to toggle steel path. If you want that challenge, you should be allowed to do it. Like, for me, seasonal content a seasonal star chart, right? It's like a hat, right? A hat over steel path. There could be new mission types. Like, we have lots of enemy AI that are already in the game, and they could add that to the seasonal content with like a fresh coat of paint, right? Like, hey, this enemy who used to do this, now they do this, right? They don't need to redesign enemies, but they can give them new abilities, and it would like enforce you to like actually change up your playstyle. Because like, to be honest, the game, as far as how I've played it from memory, it's been the same since Duviri, and Duviri came out years ago. And like, you know, don't even get me started on Duviri. Like, bro. Okay, I'll stop right there. I'll just say that.
What's your problem with Duviri?
There's no reason to do it anymore. They invested all that time to kind of create it like a replayable sort of like roguelike. But once you actually get the intrinsics, or you get the arcane or the incarnans, there's no reason to, right? Like, again, it's a content island, and they have a problem with content islands and not like returning to them. In fact, you might say, what do you mean? They've added more incarnants. You can just buy them for plat. You don't even need to fucking do Duviri anymore. Like, any new incarnate is just sold. Like, why did they make it that way? Like, they spent all that time creating that, marketing it, selling it, telling people how cool it is, and then they give you an option to completely ignore it.
I thought they were gonna
blows my mind.
I thought they were gonna add more islands.
Yeah.
Didn't they mention?
And they added, and yeah, well, they did that with Calervo, and then that was it.
So it was just Calervo. I thought it was gonna be like, oh, we're adding like
and
they're adding
it's on a rotation. It's not even active all the time. Sorry, buddy, it's Wednesday. Good luck. No Calervo for you. You know what I mean? It's just like, okay, well.
It's not that bad, is it?
No, I'm being
okay.
You know, I'm just saying
overly dramatic.
I'm being for that part I'm being overly dramatic. But like, how much money do you want to bet they invested in creating Duviri, and then not even like a year later they decide to like just let people not play it by just giving them what they came for anyway? You can just go to the dude, what's his name, Calavero, and you can just buy that shit. You can just buy that incarnate and get your weapon and log off, and you can finish the the evolutions, because they're all the same, right? They're all super easy, right? All the primaries have the same ones. There's no unique challenges, right? Because God forbid we have to do something against the grain. And you do it, and I remember when I was making content on those things, it would take me 15 minutes. 15 minutes, and I could start testing it, recording, editing, and uploading. 15 minutes to get to the part where I record. and start testing. Whereas before, you had to invest time. You know, it could take up to 2 hours. Now it's 15 minutes. Go in there, buy for plat, GG's. I think that's really silly. So, for somebody to say that I would quit playing if there's a seasonal star chart, they have effectively been conditioned to feel that way because DE continually just gives instant gratification.
I think the person who commented might have also been familiar with the seasonal model of these other games, and what they do there is they reset all of your shit, right? But
right, the fear is FOMO, and that's a good point. Go ahead.
The resetting of the characters, at least in the way we thought about the thing, the seasonal star chart, it should be this opt-in thing where you just have, like with the steel path, you could choose the seasonal star chart where it's reset, all of the nodes are reset, and you have these extra modifiers which should be relatively easy to put on because they have steel path already. Then I could understand that if you think your whole character is gonna get wiped, that you wouldn't like that idea of the seasons. But without your character being reset, I don't see it as anything else but a benefit. Or like you just mentioned, the only downside could be fear of missing out. But that means that if you see this from DE's perspective, this would be super lucrative because you have people FOMOing, so they play your game more, so you have more engagement. But
we know the cost of FOMO, right? With the heirloom skins, right? No,
yeah.
They can't bring that back. Legal obligation, right? The way they marketed it, they cannot bring that back. It'll never come back. If you missed out, like the Founders Pack, it will never return ever. So, not saying they have to design the seasonal content that way, right? Because Nightwave lasts like how long? 90 days? 3 months?
Even
like
more.
Really long time. Yeah, and I mean, even if it was just twice a year, right? Seasons typically come and go like every 2 to 3 months. They could make it 8 months for all I care. But give us a reason, like give us like a, you know, something to log into. And now I'm doing some specialty missions or specialty loot. Doesn't necessarily have to be like, locked to that season, right? Like if there was like a, because generally what they like to do with updates, right? They like to introduce a single mission, right? Like let's talk about Jade's thing, right? The elevator. You can still play that, even though that season has come and that update has come and gone. It's still in the game. That doesn't mean the seasonal content wouldn't still be in the game. But the way they could market the update is that, hey, this is like a seasonal thing. Like it's going to be active for 6 months. Like we're going to continue to add like extra features to this, in addition to what we're already doing. But like what this seasonal thing is not going to be like as in depth or like as crazy as like the updates we try to produce, right? From DE's perspective, like I can get behind that, but it could be just like, hey, do you guys want to do that mission and try to get X, Y, and Z, or like, hey, there's a new accolade if you do this during this mission type or like this seasonal content. Do you want to try and do that or whatever, right? I mean, like they could just add in like additional incoming stuff instead of just continually developing content islands with a character you need to get to rank 5 for. Once you collect all the weapon parts and mods or any sort of like superfluous things like the music CDs and shit, like what is there to do like besides go there to just like ogle at the art of the area, you know what I mean? I feel like seasonal could like kind of get around that, if that makes sense.
It even doesn't necessarily have to be put into the star chart. And what I was also thinking about is that whenever Warframe does something like the Belly of the Beast event, or when they do the Scarlet Spear event, or the Orphanix Venom event, or whatever kind of event they do, that's when I relatively enjoy playing the game. But the problem with those events is that it's then usually like you play one mission a lot. You ride this elevator for miles, baby. You can go up and down to the moon in real life with how much you have farmed that elevator during Belly of the Beast. the idea of the timed seasonal sort of
You're cutting out.
events.
You're cutting out. You're cutting out. Audio dying.
Am I good?
Yeah,
You're
you're
good.
back.
Continue.
I'm good. The seasonal events idea is sort of there already. Oh, I see it on my screen. I have massive ping now.
Dude, that would be insane though. Could you imagine like a Trial of Ascension for Warframe? That would be fucking awesome.
The
Like
thing
that
is
would be
that
like, ooh, what frame should I bring to that, right? A Trial of Ascension, some sort of endurance thing, right? Because right now DE doesn't incentivize endurance. I don't want to go into depth on that one, Gamble, right? The cost of going into level cap for hours. We're not going to touch on that.
Think about how efficient it is to farm on average.
Mhm.
You gotta go to level cap.
Oh, light work.
the thing I just don't like about those events is that it's usually this one mission you keep playing over and over and over and over and over.
Yeah, grindstone, right? Like literally,
Yeah.
it's like go do one fucking mission
Endlessly. It would be cool if there were timed things like that, but then spread over the map. I actually really liked the way that the old Accolades used to work, where they would randomly spawn in a couple of nodes on the entire star chart, and then you had to go in the mission and you had to make sure he spawned or they spawned, and then you didn't necessarily get the mod you want, etc., etc.
I know people hated that, but I fucking
I thought
love that.
I thought it was
Dude,
quite cool.
The pure joy of like, oh my god, I finally got buzzkill, guys. Like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. You know what I mean? Like that felt
Yes.
good. Now everything is, like I said, instant gratification. Like you don't have to try at all anymore.
and there's a store.
And there's a store.
Yeah, pity system store. Gotta turn your little tokens.
Continue, Casey.
Yeah, sorry.
And that was mostly what I wanted to say on that.
Did we even answer the question? Well, I would quit playing if there was a seasonal star chart.
Yeah, we more or less went over it.
Okay.
I'm not sure I agree with the whole seasonal aspect. They've had some openings where they could do something relative to that, where it's like a full reset season, right? Like PoE, where it's literally that character's gone. Like a full reset. Couldn't do it. And I don't think anybody would want to do it unless they made it like you had a seasonal account, or maybe you had a seasonal, literally a seasonal Warframe, where you got like one and it's what you went and did, sort of thing. Like it'd have to be super weird. But one of the things I thought was,
honestly, that would be another way to approach it, because one of the things that I talked about the other day was that every Warframe can do everything and feels the same. So if you lock into one Warframe, you have to do all of the content with that one Warframe.
yeah,
And it will test
Like,
your build
they could
diversity on that one Warframe.
they could test it with Excalibur. Everybody has Excalibur. Or like the main three, right? Mag, Vol, and Excalibur, right? The first season, those three Warframes. You play them, you get these specific buffs or something, right? Wouldn't mean
There's
that
a
you
lot of
can't play the
options
other.
there.
Wouldn't mean that you
Yeah.
can't play the other frames, right? They'd still behave as well as they've always done. But if you play these frames, right, you're gonna experience something different, something new
For
that you
this
hadn't
season,
before.
pick your
Yes.
frame, and then there's just like 3 options, but then you can rotate each season, so you get
Or let the
3 other
community
options.
choose their own.
Or
Right? You have
even
a
better,
set
yeah.
you have
let
a
it
set
be
list of
voted on.
buffs, and you can apply to any frame you want for your specific account. You can do something like that too.
true.
Yeah. Okay, next comment. Let's see. Let's see. Let's see, something actually decent. Let's see. This is actually kind of a good one. So this is from Irati. Listen, most weapons are straight up trash without this arcane, but almost every already good weapon doesn't require influence at all.
What, talking about the influence thing?
Mm-hmm. Most weapons in this game are trash. but almost every already good weapon doesn't need this type of help anyway.
It depends on what that person means by trash. If their idea of trash is not good at current content, then yes, most weapons are trash. But like, if our content ever becomes less about kills per minute and finishing a mission quickly, a lot of other weapons are going to shine. Like the Warframe will be super strong. If it came about like killing like a specifically like a heavy enemy and you couldn't really speed the mission up. Like if they gave you a mission that took like give or take exactly 7 minutes, where the enemy disappeared if you didn't kill it too fast, or if you didn't kill it fast enough, right? Where the mission had like a countdown timer, like the
we
nightmare
have no
missions.
missions with countdown timers. I just realized, as far as I.
Isn't there a nightmare one where there's a countdown timer, but you extend it with like kills and it's super easy? So if the mission length was capped, and you had 7 minutes, and it became how much fucking damage you can do to one target, the meta would change, and all of a sudden a bunch of different weapons would be trash. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So if the current meta is whatever that person is doing, then there is a meta for whatever that person is doing. It doesn't mean most weapons are trash. Hell, like everybody's done like Mark 1 level caps, right? Like especially with the Mark 1 Paris and like a 100 munition build. Like that's Old Faithful in terms of like doing a level cap with a Mark 1 weapon. You know what I mean? Like what counts as trash? Like what counts as trash? You can't just say whatever I'm doing, if it's not good at what I'm doing, it's trash. Okay, well what are you doing?
A lot of these comments are pretty vague.
Actually, now that I think about it, a boss fight with a mission timer sounds kind of hype.
Yeah, same. You mentioned it, and I was like, that's actually quite interesting as an idea.
But instead of like profit taker, it's like actually a timer where it's like, you've got 3 minutes, good luck, buddy. And it's like, oh fuck. And I'm like, actually,
it's like
why
an
don't
actual damage test.
Yeah, like it's just straight up, it's just DPS check. Good luck, dude.
Yeah, we don't have DPS checks.
Oh, by the way, we're trying to kill you while we're doing this. You got 2 minutes, go. Be like, oh shit, okay. Yeah, what's going on here?
Gotta lock in, baby.
Yeah, lock in. Whatever that meme is with the guy, what is it, from Parasite? Yeah. You got 2 minutes, and then he locks in. It's like, okay.
Okay, here we go. Let's see.
And just so you know, related to that comment, that shit's gonna get worse. Because what content? Not like worse than like, oh, it's like a nastier comment, but people saying like, oh, the meta is what it is. Like it's whatever I'm doing, because they don't have to work with other people regularly. When I play it with specific friends, when like the more people that I play regularly play Warframe with, I'll straight up ask, do you guys want to do a specific comp or something? Like if you want to do something like, hey, I'm down to play whatever. We all have everything formed. We don't have to do like solo builds next to each other. We can sit here and run like, oh, you want to do a bunch of damage, you want to test a weapon, cool. Let me run something with Eclipse on it. You run something with Roar. You know, oh, we have somebody else that you want to run Chroma, so we can just go around and do silly damage. Like, you can just have fun with it. Or it's like, oh, let's try to spread a bunch of status. There's a new mod I want to test out. And you just have fun with it. Like, there's no challenge. Because there's no boss with a timer on it. That's the real challenge. We need that timer.
Give us that timer.
Yeah, 2 minutes to kill this boss. But the fact is like, that's regularly how older players play. when they're having like downtime, where it's just like, hey, we're gonna play Warframe, we're gonna relax, and we're just gonna do something together. Because there's no challenge. It's just you do something, and a lot of times it'll be like, hey, I'm trying to do XYZ. So you'll build to help the person out if you're not really doing anything. Anybody who's still talking about like doing level caps, it's kind of dead content after so many tries.
Yeah.
When I first started hanging out with you and Nova and the rest of everybody, I probably did maybe 2 or 3, and then I stopped accepting invites to do it because I'm like, bro, I've kind of seen it. You know what I mean? There's I've been to the top of the mountain. I've taken in the view. I'm good. You know.
Because the fact is you can tell if a weapon can do level cap by like level 2K, and that's like a 10-minute thing. Like by 2K, you know absolutely, oh, I'm killing fast enough or I'm not to do level 10K. Because they don't even get like 3 times tankier anymore. It used to be kind of a big deal with like the old armor and health values. It's like
the scaling deck
like,
before the armor changes
it
from
was
like
so
6 to
good.
9K was insane.
Yeah.
You were like, oh my god, this is insanely hard though. The hell? That exponential scaling started to kick in and you really felt that. And now you don't. It's crazy. I did a level cap the other day on Temple, just testing the evade build that I had. And I was enjoying myself because I like playing Temple. The gameplay loop and the timing of the abilities is quite fun. Keeps my brain engaged a little bit better, but it was so easy to get there. Like it at level 10K, enemies felt like paper. It was crazy. I didn't have armor strip, didn't have nothing. I just had corrosive and I had heat, and that's all I needed.
750 heat waiting in a dream.
It's crazy.
Okay, let me ask, how many more comments do you guys want to do? Like, how much longer? Because I already know what the last one is that I want to do. Like, not that I want to like end this, but
just
there's one that I want to end on. Hit us with it. This was the most popular sentiment, despite me addressing it. The comment, just don't use it. That classic argument, just don't use it. Don't like it, don't use it.
The counter to this, which we literally just talked about before starting this, was people also feeling left out when content is too hard for them and saying, I can't play it. You don't have to play it. You don't have to do the end game content. You don't have to do it. So why is that the argument on that side? But do you still have the same argument where you just can't you can also not use it? It's like it sort of goes hand in hand. It's a weird dichotomy between those two views. I don't know. Plus, like you said, you addressed it in the video, and I can choose not to run it, but and we have that ability too, right? We have the ability to choose not to run it because we're veteran players. We have everything. We don't necessarily have to farm everything anymore. Let's say I am somewhat new, but have been playing for a little bit, but I still need a lot of materials, stuff, maybe bile for my helmet system. I need to get all the resources for my helmet system. What I then want to do is I want to use the most efficient way possible to get all of the resources, which means doing a survival with as high amount of kills per minute as possible. And then you always, every time, not necessarily for every type of thing you are doing, because you could also use like a loot setup and you could go with Sevagoth nuking the map. But let's say you want to use a melee weapon, you will always go to melee influence. And that's a problem.
Yeah, I mean, if you're trying to do like a survival or something, if they want people to stop using melee influence so much, then survival needs to not be rated out of like kills per minute. Because that's how you keep doing survival, is kills per minute.
And in the sentiment, the easiest option should not be the most effective as well. But in this game, it is.
Yeah.
Revenant is easy. It's the most effective way not to die. Melee influence, it's the easiest option, most effective way to clear ads and basically slap it on any melee, right?
It's
Punchy
fine if
munitions for a
something is
certain amount of
efficient,
time.
but you can get it so easy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree.
Wukong,
And more
literally
in
Wukong's entire kit. Yeah, go ahead.
more in depth with the melee influence nerf that they could do. I think, and I'm not sure whether the game works like that, but possibly Gamble can correct me if I'm spouting BS. Is that the way melee influence works right now? Is you have the electricity proc, then there's a 20% chance to put all the statuses on enemies in a 20-meter radius around you. But whenever you spread that status, it duplicates the actual initial damage hit as well. Because I think the way the game applies status effects is there needs to be an initial damage source at least once for the game to calculate everything like, oh, you used these kind of mods, the enemy was this faction, yada yada yada. So you need to apply damage, and that is what makes melee influence especially powerful. It's not necessarily the spreading of the elements. Like you can build up 100 electric procs and that's fine, but it's also duplicating your initial hit every time you hit an enemy within those 20 meters, which is what makes it scale quadratically and be insane. So if you were to address melee influence and actually probably, I don't know, satisfy the way it's supposed to be designed, or at least the way it's worded, you would only want to copy the status effects and not necessarily the initial damage. Because I think that's where it gets out of hand.
Well, just keep in mind with the gas and electric, they have their dots are T0, right? They do damage on T0.
Yeah.
Where they and mentally for me, they always count as like bonus damage on like an attack speed build, right? Because you
Yeah.
get the dot on the hit also.
Yeah, compared to Heat where it takes like
A second.
or whatever to start. Yeah. That's actually why I like the way the DE designed Blast now that they redid it. It's like you either have to wait a little bit for the blast proc to go off, or if you max it out, it immediately triggers.
Yeah.
So it's like sort of the in-between version of electricity, gas, and heat, which I think is quite interesting and cool.
Yeah, I like it.
But yeah,
So
the comment, if you don't like it, don't use it. It could apply to us as veterans, but as a new player, I don't think you're going to want to skip it because it saves you time. So you're gonna do it.
In a lot of comments, which are super valid, also said, you know, we all play the game for different reasons.
Yes.
And that's totally valid, 1,000,000,000%. But I still feel that you would be enjoying yourself even more. Oh, nice. If DE gave you more options than what you're already accustomed to, because you may not be able to notice it, but because the content we get is so similar, drop after drop, they all kind of just end the same way. Like, right? Like the content islands, like it's very, very, very similar. It's a good sort of like code that they figured out. But at some point, it's like, why not revisit what you've released and like bring it back? Because there's like this incentive on new. We got to keep bringing players in, new. But DE has a serious what is the word? Is it attrition? Is that the word? Right? When like they can't like keep people around. If you go to, and this is something that we talked about, Gamble, right?
about what?
Look at your friends list. Look at your
Oh
friends list.
God, don't
How
make me look at last login. I swear to God, I'll leave call.
look at right. So DE has effectively like let's kind of go big picture here on this. DE has effectively remove the need or even like incentivize like any sort of social aspect to the game, right? And like reinforcing that point home, right? The auto disband, right? We already talked about that though.
Yeah,
So
I hate auto-disband.
So to nail that point even harder, right? We're all focused. They're so focused on bringing new people in with new content, and I get it. It's a live service. That's the model. I get that, but that doesn't mean you don't also keep people playing, right? You can bring people in. You also need to keep people engaged and playing. And DE has a big problem with that. Huge problem with that. I look at my friends list, and I've been playing for 10 years, and I've probably accumulated around 80 friends or so. I maybe have 5 left in the last 8 years. Sure,
Yeah.
people move on with their life, whatever. But, Gamble is a much more social than I am when it comes to this game because he's concerned about alliances. He actually has an active, engaged clan. So he's going to have even more friends than I.
I wouldn't go that far, bro. It's like 3 people hanging out.
It is, but
True,
was
true.
it at one point?
Yeah, sadly.
Was it at one point, right? So they haven't introduced things that actually enforce people to stay around because nothing keeps people around than a genuinely good community. And Warframe, or DE, I guess, is actively dismantling that with these changes that don't reward or incentivize group play. And that's like the nail on the head for me is like when you introduce mechanics in the game that just let you do everything, you've effectively created a scenario or a cycle of I don't need anybody else, therefore I don't need to play with anybody else. And now you've got the mentality is don't tell me how to play because I'm doing everything and I don't want myself to be handicapped. Whereas before you could rely on other people to like fill in the gaps to your whatever was lacking with your build, and that was creating community. I'm arguing for them to kind of return back to how it used to be, but the design and the direction of the game is going literally in the opposite direction. Less involvement, more solo play, more reliance on yourself than anybody else. Whereas before it was the opposite. More like remember they used to do things for like clans and stuff and like social events and things like that and like forming a squad to like go get maiming strike or buzzkill and things like that. Farming parties, like, you know what I mean? Now it's regulated to just like a recruiting channel that's mostly about recruiting for clans, but again, at the end of the day, like the only reason why you're in a clan is so that you can trade and so that you can get like some of the weapons that are for MR. Like that's it. There's actually no reason to be in a clan otherwise. It doesn't benefit you and your account in any single way, other than getting you more weapons. Go ahead.
This really makes me reflect on why I actually partially wanted to become a Warframe creator, and I think even Mook, I don't know how to pronounce
Yeah,
the
he was a
name
big
of the
deal.
channel. I'm sorry if I
Maybe I'm
pronounced
thinking
it
of someone
wrong,
else. Is that the Wisp guy? The other Wisp guy?
The Wisp Grax is his YouTube handle. And
okay.
Oh,
I'm thinking of someone else.
Apart from the falling metal pipe shenanigans, which I think was a bit weird, I generally like what he does. And in his YouTube like description or whatever on your channel description, right? Yeah, I think he might still have it, but he definitely did in the past. It was literally like, I like Warframe, but I have no one to play with, so I started to make content to get people, I don't know, to play with, or at least to communicate with, to build a community. And for me, it was more or less the same. Like, I have been playing this game for so long. I've had friends that left the game. I'm basically the same with people actively playing on my friends list, where it's like 5 people maybe. I've no one to play with, and I want to play with people because I feel like that's more fun. So I had all of this knowledge, and I was like, it could be nice to build a community. But the way it's now evolved is that the community is not in the game anymore. The community is this proxy weird thing via content creators, which I don't think is necessarily healthy. But that was one of the reasons why I started to slowly make content, was like, I want to feel like I'm actually connected to people playing this game, because I felt so damn alone playing this game. I was solo all of the time. All of the people around me, like actual friends in real life, whenever I would mention Warframe and that I was playing that, they were like, "Oh, what kind of game?" And then I explained what it was, and they looked into it, and they were like, "Nah, that's way too much time investment. I'm not gonna play that." So I
Yeah.
guess in one sense, they are fixing the problem, where people are now getting in the game because you don't need to invest that much time anymore, because everything is handed to you straight away. But on the other hand, they're destroying the community aspect. So it's weird how it works.
Yeah, 100%. I want to add something to your thing too, like Accolades, Macdix, right? These are big channels that the DE has actively garnered, right, to like get them involved so that their communities join and they build the game, right? Like for example, Accolades got a paid sponsorship literally yesterday to create a video with Glad and Frostbolt, two huge Destiny 2 creators, like massive. Glad is in one of the most successful D2 raid groups ever, and Frostbolt is a big PvP player. And you've got Accolades, who does at this point a little bit of variety, but also has a really good community and focuses primarily on Destiny content, right? So these are big deal people.
Okay.
And so he released a video to show like, hey, like look how much fun we're having, right? We're having such a good time. Like this game is so fun with your friends, right? So that to me, that's like the ironic thing, because it's like, hey, they're trying to promote the game as this social butterfly simulator
But it's
in a
not.
way, but it's not at all. So to me, it's like, oh my god, they're having so much fun. Yeah, but because you're making that fun, but like DE has like systematically removed the tools to create meaningful and new experiences with new people, right? The disband, the fact that clans mean fucking nothing, the fact that alliances mean fucking nothing, the fact that apparently, according to my comments, that I don't want to rely on anybody, right? Well, what if it's not about relying about people? What if it's like creating a bond or a friendship in this game that DE like is seemingly trying to promote when they pay big creators to make content on it? You know what I mean? It's just like, I don't know what direction we're really going here, because on one aspect they want to do this, but their actions speak louder than their words, right? Their actions tell me they don't want to do that. So I don't know what's going on. Gamble, you haven't said anything. Go ahead and take the wheel here. On this part.
Yeah, the fact is I get where you're going. DE can ultimately do whatever they want.
Mm-hmm.
We're not on DE's side. We're not like, we don't have to convince them. It's not our job to convince them. Stop trying to convince them of something. You're the consumer. You're not on DE's team. Okay?
Yep.
You're the
Yes.
consumer. If you don't like what DE is doing, don't fucking spend money. Okay? You don't have to ask for stuff. You don't have to say, hey, I'd like to do this. It's like, oh, I'm looking for raids. I'm going to where raids are. I'm looking for social aspects. I'm going to where social aspects are. Hey, let me know when you guys get this and I'll be back. You stop trying to convince them. Like, oh, my main issue with the disband is because it's probably the most invasive. Like, okay, DE has never really cared about social aspects, but this is probably the most invasive thing that they've done that gets in the way of social aspects. Because it's the game making you get out of the thing, and you have to go back in instead of things getting to happen organically. It should have been a toggle that you have to opt into.
It's one thing to not add anything to game to help it. It's another to add a feature that, yeah, it's one thing to prevent it, right? They're actively preventing social interactions.
Yeah,
by doing this.
And it shouldn't be an opt-in thing. If you just know it's there. If you're the type of person that's like, I don't want to ever have a conversation with somebody ever, the consequence of that shit also, I think it should be tied to your most recents also. If you enable it, your most recents disappears also. Because why would you need them? If you're in mission and you're do a pub squad, you shouldn't be able to see what they are in most recents if you have auto-disband on. There needs to be a double side for that. So I think it's a little invasive. But people asked for it. Just keep that in mind. People ask for it.
I know why people
that's
asked.
a sad thing.
I know why people asked for it, or partially. I guess it's in part that whenever you run pubs, usually you don't care about continuing to play with these people. So I see the reason why they added it in, because I was also, whenever I was doing relic runs and it was like an exterminate or whatever, I would usually just do the run and then leave and then queue a new one instead of convincing people that they should run the same relic again because it's whatever. Takes too much time, it's not efficient enough. So you leave the party straight away, and I guess that's the reason why they added it in, because there's more people like me that were like, I'm leaving all the time anyway, but I have to actively click on it. So we already went over, well, make it a hotkey or something so you can immediately click it. Or
yeah, there should have been a way to quick key it.
the opt-in. But not like this. It doesn't feel good. But I guess they removed it at the moment, and they are also reevaluating it because I guess they already got some pushback, possibly on the forums as well, about it. So we'll have to see what happens. But your point on us being the consumer is completely correct. And if you really, really, really don't like the game anymore, just go somewhere else, which is what I've done in the past plenty of times. Whenever Warframe wasn't giving me what I wanted out of it, I would just play another game.
Yeah.
The thing is that when you are engaged in a game and you like playing it, I think, especially with how the markets themselves as listening to the community and trying to work together with the community, I think it's reasonable to also I don't know, be entitled to at least giving some feedback, even though you are not on their side. Because as a consumer, what you want is to get the best product as well, even if you don't necessarily like it at that point.
I agree with what you're saying. I would like to fractionate that I do differentiate between giving feedback as opposed to actually trying to convince them to do something that's like in their best interest. You don't stop somebody from like stabbing themselves. If they're making a mistake, you let them do it. Because we're not. If they screw up, then they have to apologize. Why would you stop them in the middle of screwing up? Like, you get twice as much. You know what I'm saying? Because benefit. We're not there to enjoy the benefit of it. Like, I'm not a stockholder in Digital Extremes. Why do I care about how good it does? If anything, as mean as this is, if all of the casuals leave, if the game gets worse, you'll only be left with hardcore players that are knowledgeable. As mean as that take is, like, you'll only be left with people that know how to play the game or are really shit and don't care. 1 second, I forgot to mute my phone.
I may have just found a way how to skip the animation of Temple's third ability to provide you full invulnerability for the duration of the ability. That's a fun bug. And I will not cover it in my Temple guide.
Bro's got the cheat code.
The cheat code is, if you are in your operator and you switch to your Warframe and immediately press the 3, you don't get an animation. At least, maybe for me at the moment, because my ping is too high. Could be related to that.
Where are you at again? Norway?
The Netherlands.
Netherlands, okay. Doxed you right there. That's going in the vid. Get him.
No, it's on my YouTube channel that I'm from the Netherlands.
Okay. Yeah, I appreciate I don't know where Gamble went, but I appreciate both of
I'm
you
here, I'm
guys
here.
like sitting down. I appreciate both of you guys sitting down and talking this over, because I think while my video got
problem.
my point across for the most part, I think I definitely probably lacked in providing some clarity. Right? I didn't want the video to be 30 minutes. It's just supposed to be like a PSA, you know what I mean? Like, it's just supposed to be like, hey, this is how I'm feeling, my general thoughts. I actually wrote a script for that video, which I literally never do. Just to try to, you know, give it a more genuine feel, because at the end of the day, like, despite how I feel right now, I'm gonna continue playing Warframe. Like, it's done
Yeah,
so
of
much
course.
for me. Let's talk about the positives of Warframe here for a minute. When I started my channel, I was literally a nobody, like how everybody starts. My very first video ever for Warframe related content was a Geyer video. It was literally covering the cathode grace augment. Okay, I was like, this augment's fucking awesome, right? Like, wow, Geyer doesn't feel like shit anymore. Like, everybody should get this. And then I continued making some. I was like, hey, that was kind of fun. Like, I got some cool comments. People were questioning, like, why was I building a certain way? So I'm like, okay, like, I did a Wukong video. I did Nidus, Wisp, right? And we talked about this last night, Gamble. The thing that, like, changed my trajectory was those Incarnate videos. I was unemployed at the time, and I was really looking forward to Duviri, and so I literally just kind of slaved away at the game to get those Incarnate videos. And I was, as a matter of fact, the very first person to upload any video regarding an Incarnate weapon in the Duviri release. So the first video was the Brett, and I was the only person. I literally had maybe 13 subs, and I skyrocketed to, I think, around 800 or 1,000 off of that one video alone. And that changed the whole trajectory. Let's fast forward a bit, right? So I continued making content. I get noticed by DE, and I'm invited to the partner program as a relatively small creator. Okay?
Okay.
Fast forward a little bit more. I get to go to Canada. I get to go to TennoCon, and it was a really great experience outside of the COVID shit, which was horrible. But so my love of Warframe is very strong, despite like what I'm talking about, and I'm talking about it because I love Warframe, and I love the game and what it's about, and I do like the company as a whole. Right, there are always going to be design choices that I don't agree with, and that's just comes with the territory, right? Like, you know, it doesn't suit my needs, but hey, one of the decisions they made was really good for this person, so, you know, who cares? And vice versa. So for me, I'm talking about this stuff because I will, and it's not, if I didn't care, I would continue just feeding my channel with just build videos, right? But like, I've noticed some things and I wanted to talk about it. And while it did ultimately somewhat blow up in my face, that's fine. You know, like, I expected it to be, you know,
Controversial.
I expected this kind of reaction for the most part. Some of the comments were like super like not helpful at all. Like, one word like cringe or shut the fuck up. Like, I mean, like, those are whatever. Like, that's not gonna bother me. But some of the comments were really good. Go ahead.
The funniest thing is that if you would have, you could have made the same type of video, but if you would have done reverse psychology and would have went with melee influence is too strong, let's buff all of these other things instead of mentioning nerfs. People are for some reason so insanely like, I don't know how you, there's a word for it, like they hypochondriac or whatever to nerve the word nerve alone like sets off all kinds of immunological reactions almost in their entire body. They're like, nerve,
Yeah.
no nerve, no. There's like some weird
It's because they think
community
their toys got
sentiment.
to get taken. But if you
People
buff
hate
stuff,
being told what to do, and by nerfing something, you're telling them like, I'm not letting you play with this the way it is anymore. And that's
Yes,
just
and
going to
then
be the, you know, human response to that. You
th-
don't like being told what to do.
yes, but the funniest thing is then if you would have brought the video like, let's buff all of these other melee arcanes because they're shit, it would have done possibly a lot different. Like the entire video, the responses could have been a lot different, even though the like idea behind it was the same, which is just an odd observation of human psychology, basically.
Yeah. So I love Warframe. I'm gonna keep making content on it. End of story. Probably, until they close the game or something happens in my life that just ultimately changes the trajectory so completely that I can't. But yeah, I mean, I'm gonna continue playing this game because I enjoy playing it. So, but I can still talk about like why I don't like certain things and where I want to see it improve.
So okay, so
yeah,
Casey brought it up. How dumbed down do you think people need to be talked to be able to get a proper criticism video without backlash? Like, what do you need to? What do you need to be? How do you need to be able to structure stuff? So, if you want to criticize something about a game that you both care about and you're interested in seeing it succeed, to where people will actually register that and not go, "Oh, well, if you don't like it, then fucking don't use it." Like really brain dead, idiotic responses that add absolutely nothing. Where it'll actually get people, instead of like one or two, but people overall for the general Warframe community will view it as something like, I'm caring here, like I'm interested in what it is. Is it maybe just how you bring it up? Is it because melee influence is overriding everything?
yeah.
There's a couple of niche examples, but the default still is putting influence on.
Right. I mean, that's the whole point, right? That's why I'm running Atlas right now, just to show you how stupid it is. I've gone down one time, and we're fighting level. We've been in here for an hour, 90 minutes.
Oh, have we?
Like,
I guess we have.
Yeah, and I'm like,
and I'm
I've
not
got
even
YouTube
paying attention
open.
that much. I'm not even paying attention that much.
The game isn't difficult, and like, I'm not saying like I need to have my balls pressed to get like some satisfaction here. I'm not a masochist, but I'm saying that like there's got to be something that's gonna get my eyes to stay open when I play this game, because like we kind of joked about this. Like, I have fallen asleep playing this game before. I've never fallen asleep playing any other game.
Yeah,
literally ever.
For whatever reason, I can do survivals for hours and hours, but Netracells, I could like just wake up, go do like a Netracell or something, and be like falling asleep by the end of the third one. They put me to sleep, just as the Netracells. It's like I'm a grown ass man. I've sat through 6-hour HR meetings.
Yeah, and I'm engaged because we're having like a thoughtful conversation. But if I was solo, no fucking way I would go 90 minutes solo in this game. No way.
Why? Did we even have we even maxed out the resource booster yet?
I don't know. You tell me. 90 minutes.
At 90 minutes, you max it. So we just did.
It's this one, right? Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's another thing that we might have not discussed, but the difficulty of the missions takes so long to scale. I don't want to sit in a mission for even an hour before it becomes difficult in like Cascade or something. If I want to be tested straight away, I just want the option to have it as hard as possible right from the get-go.
Exactly. Where's the instant satisfaction for us? Right? My instant satisfaction was start me at like at the 2-hour ratio of enemy difficulty. Start me there. Why do I need to start when the enemies are like literally kind of just like twiddling their thumbs? Like the enemies don't really turn on until like around now, right? We've been like a couple of us have gone down, like except for Gamble because he's just different. But like we've gone down, but it literally took us
15,000 armor.
It took us 80 minutes to get there. Like most people don't do more than 15-minute missions, so they're never actually challenged with anything they actually use. Like oh yeah. They're like another big popular comment was Warframe's a horde shooter. Why are you trying to turn it into something it's not? What is Warframe? What is Warframe?
I guess that's one of the positive things about Warframe. Warframe is Warframe, and there's nothing like it, which is why I'm always drawn back to it.
Yeah. Once you get to the, dude, I don't know. I don't want to be super insulting, but like when I hear comments about people where it's like, oh, it's a horde shooter, bro. The fact is like it's something I consider immediately. That person hasn't finished the fucking game yet. Like, they're still, like, doing Steel Path or, like, MR2728. Maybe they're, like, LR1 or something like that. But that person clearly still has shit to do in Warframe. Like, they haven't gotten to the point where they're like, I have had nothing to do for 6 fucking months, and you're still playing. It's just like, I like, whatever you guys need to do, please God, just give us some fucking content. And then they're like, oh, Deviri's, delayed again. And you're like, I'm gonna off myself. Like, oh, we're gonna delay Coda weapons. And it's like, oh shit, like when 1999 came out, and then most of them ended up being kind of
They have been doing a lot of
mid.
delays lately, or splitting the updates up, right? Like,
I
I
am
don't
not
see
a fan
why.
of that. Holy
I
shit.
don't see why this Tekrad Encore update was split from the 1999. I don't know why it was split. I mean, it makes sense, right? Because, like, then they can fill the year with more shit and give some time. But, like, I feel like like, having those glitches at launch would have been really, really cool. Go ahead. Anybody?
No, like, I agree, but it's just, the fact is like, that person, I know for a fact that person doesn't have the game done. Because they're like, oh, well, if you don't like it, like, then don't use it. And it's like, but listen, that's how far into not being a multiplayer game people are considering it. That guy doesn't play with teammates, or if he does, they're like, everybody's just sort of playing together.
It's just randoms,
fucking,
just a pub.
because there's no way you can have that interaction. Because if you go into a game and you start talking to people like that, they're not going to want to play with you. Like, they're not. Where it's like, oh yeah, well, the best build or the best loadout. Let's do loadout reviews before we do this 1-hour mission, right? Like, I need to know if you're up to whatever it is. Oh, you're not using Revenant and Torrid. Oh, you don't have the Incarnon. Get on my level. Get out of my group. Like, it's too sweaty, and that's a lot of shit that
I've
we
never
have.
been told that. Nobody ever says that because nobody looks at what people are running. I like to see who my teammate is. Like,
They don't have to ask.
Right.
They don't have to ask.
Because I won't affect their gameplay and they won't affect mine. And that's my problem. I feel like I should affect it. Like, my Atlas, I feel like, should affect the way we're, like, handling this mission, and at some level it is. But if I wasn't here and Gambit wasn't here, Casey wouldn't be struggling with or without us. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
I would have been going down exactly the same amount as I am at the moment.
Exactly.
Wouldn't have changed anything. If anything, I would be playing solo, so I wouldn't have been downed once because I was actually focusing a little bit more on the game instead of also trying to have a good conversation.
Yeah.
Nice.
Hey, Browns. One of my favorite friends.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Should we head for extraction or what we doing?
Yeah, let's go ahead and end it there. That's good.
Kill some Thrax for the resources and then get the hell out.
Do any of the lure arcanes sell for anything nowadays?
No. They're mostly used as, like, phosphor.
I mean, Encumber's still good, right? Didn't Encumber come with the Lua?
Encumber is Citrine.
No, yeah, Citrine.
Oh, okay.
Encumber is worth a
Veruna,
bit.
Blessing. Veruna's Blessing, right?
Yeah, but Blessing is so easy to get that I think it sells for like 40 plat, so you may as well just turn it into phosphor and try your luck on Fury and some other arcanes.
That's true.
I think I calculated at some point what the value of an arcane set has to be for it to be worthwhile actually selling instead of turning it into phosphor. But that was based on, like, arcane market values of Eidolon arcanes a long time ago, and the value has gone down since the event, so it may not be accurate anymore.
Yeah.
I did this short where I opened like 100 different Eidolon arcane packs and sort of try to get some statistics on them. Like how often will I get something like a Fury or an Energize?
Oh, doing the math and whatnot.
Yeah. I have a spreadsheet that I like shared with channel members or whatever. Or I might have even put it in the description of the short for people to just access it. I think it came down to like a 0.75% chance for Energize per pack. So a little bit less than 1.
Okay. I didn't realize it was that high.
Yeah, that's actually quite decent. And especially if you consider that you can get a lot of these arcanes that you get out of the packs, you can then turn back into phosphor, so you always have some overflow that you can then try out again to get some good arcanes. I actually really like that system. It's one of the good things they have added in the recent past.
Wait, why am I still killing shit? Let's leave.
We're in the zone. Let's get out.
I'm literally just literally turn your brain off the Warframe way. Yeah.
Point
Yeah,
proven.
but honestly, this is what Warframe is more about: is get into a Discord call with the homies and do a survival with some weird weapons. Like, this is the actual Warframe experience, though.
Wait, Temple's taller than Atlas?
I guess.
Yeah. Oh wow, 147. Wow. How much did you guys get?
147.
Should have brought a Smita Kavat. Yeah, no, you're totally right. Like, you're right. But you're missing 50% is doing the farm, 50% is the community. So, you know, he just subtracted half of that statement.
Yeah.
And they've created a environment and a cycle that gives people that has developed the mentality of, I don't want to rely on other people, therefore I will not play with them.
Yeah.
So yeah. Bye chilling with the homies. All right, well I'm gonna end the video there and then do a private not a private but like a personalized outro. But yeah, so I actually split this recording into 2 parts, but this is like a 2-hour session. 2 hours I gotta whittle down. So I'll have
I've got
this
202.
you did. I split
All
it
right,
up
have a
into
good day,
'cause I was like,
guys.